Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. This is a little thing I wanted to do. I saw these debates from Oxford Union about is populism. Excuse me. Let me check and make sure. Is populism a threat to democracy? And the reason why it came across my feed is because our Speaker of the House was one of the opposition side, or she was the pro side of yes, it is destroying democracy. It's a threat to democracy, and God, it annoyed me to no end. So I thought I'd play it and we talk about it. I have it. Go ahead.
Just 1 second.
Yes,
can you hear us at this point, Jen?
no sound. Hold on. Let me check.
Hey, Rotten.
What up, Rotten? Let me. It's playing on my end.
She hears us lighting up. She can't hear us talking.
Yeah. I can hear. So I can hear us when I go to my YouTube feed and watch the video. I can hear us. So it must be on her end. Jen, is it good?
Okay, good.
All right. Hey Jen, if you want on, shit, fuck, we can all watch this if you want on. Shit, fuck it. I'll send you the feed. I'll send you the link. No, I mean, it's good to have a diverse perspective because again, she's Canadian, so.
No, I totally agree with you. I'm just like sitting here going. I also know you don't like empty seats, so.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't. Twitter. Jen, check your Twitter. Where is you? You should be there. Oh. That's fucking odd. Oh, there you are.
How you doing, Angela?
I'm doing okay, but your sound is low. Rotten.
That's at the gym.
All right, let me cue up the first video. So I didn't put in this little thing. I didn't put the first two videos because they're mostly flaws. Hey, Jen.
I definitely hear the Jen. Sorry, Jen.
Oh, sorry. I was just I've been avoiding my YouTube or my Twitter since this morning because yesterday I engaged with a LGBTQ transphobic trash guy on a J.K. Rowling thread, and I know I kind of beat him in this argument, and he's still doubling down. I'm pretty sure this person doesn't have a female friend that isn't trans.
So he doesn't have a female friend. Got it.
No, I could tell. I like leaving them with little tips, like, all right, Angela, I'm throwing you into the same boat as me, but you know when they try to shade you for being in your 40s, and you just kind of sit back and you just kind of put your hands in your lap and you're like, listen, kid, tell you all about the ways for which I don't give a shit because I experienced all the things that you don't get to experience. And I feel bad for you. I actually feel bad for you because I think you're the way you are because the parents around you messed you up. Honestly.
Jen was like 8 seconds from going, oh, you sweet summer child.
Oh, I sure did. Like, trust me, there's no moment, yes, the only times I have moments at 42 where I grieve, it's because I'm 42. Yes, at 42, you have things like, oh, I fell down and it hurts more when I get up, you know? But you know what? I get up and I'm fine and I don't cry about it and I move on with my life because I'm I'm an adult.
Well, that's like, I'm in my 30s, Jen. Like, both me and Tara, Tara's not being 38, I'm 37. And that whole thing of, you sleep wrong.
Yes.
It's like a 3-day recovery period sometimes.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm starting to get back pains. Oh, Lord.
But at no point am I sad about my age because I look at half of them and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm still running circles around you.
I got disposable income.
I think I'm taking after my dad in terms of that. Like, yes, he grew old, but at no point he could still run circles around me, and he's still twice my age, you know? So I'm like, if I can still do that to the kids who are like bitching about me about being 42, I'm okay with that because you know, I don't know.
Understandable. Jen, I guess you didn't hear the preamble, but there was this debate held by the Oxford Union, and it was if populism is a threat to democracy. Now, it came across my feed because, you know, on occasions I like to watch debates. I'm weird like that. And this one came across my feed, and I'm like, So,
that's actually
but go ahead.
it is actually a big topic though when you think about it, because it can be, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is. So it's not a bad debate topic.
You're right. It isn't. It's just that one of the debaters or one of the speakers for the pro argument was Nancy Pelosi, and the opposition was the council guy from Mumford and Son, Mr. Marshall. Now, William Marshall, if I'm not mistaken.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
The premise doesn't make sense. Is populism ruining democracy?
No, it's a threat to democracy.
A threat to democracy. It's like, isn't populism that's just pretty much the most?
Well, again, like I said, I'll cut out the preamble. Like, the first two speakers were introducing their side mainly, and the crux of the arguments happened with the last two speakers. Yo, Green Badger. So I thought we'd go through, we watch them, and give our commentary over it. It's just something I wanted to do, and having more people doing it is way more fun than doing it by my damn self. So I'll share the first video. Can you guys see it?
Give me a second. Yes.
Yes.
Yep, it's on YouTube too.
Yeah, turn it up. So it's Ali Dugmore, you know, his argument. He's the second speaker for the pro side.
Position will seek to conflate democracy and populism. They already have. They are not the same thing.
Again, actually,
I now look to Mr. Ollie Dugmore to continue the case for the proposition.
Yeah, I saw this.
yeah.
I'm good with watching it again. It was good.
I'm hardly surprised the gentleman opposite secured the drum roll of the beating benches in this room. I'm also hardly surprised that he does not know the difference between democracy and populism, but we will get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, oh God, let's move there, and everyone in between, good evening. My name is Ollie Dugmore, and it is my pleasure to be with you this evening, opening your Trinity term card. I participated in the debate which closed the Cambridge unions. Boo, hiss.
I hate the fact that they do
You'll catch up.
the preamble.
Hillary card over whether modern technology threatens democracy. So I've copied and pasted half of that speech. Fingers crossed it still makes sense. Thank you very much. On a serious point, we won that debate, and we will also win this one this evening. I come to the floor of this chamber with a warning. 1 second. This is the cartridge case of a .223 caliber Remington bullet. It is virtually the same ammunition used by NATO soldiers around the world. It was fired on October 31st, 2020, in the woods outside of McDonough, Georgia, USA, from an AR-15.
I want to know, what does this have to do with the argument being presented? Okay, so some asshole fired a gun in the woods in Georgia.
They make the argument that pro-gun arguments are the result of populism, which really, really bothers me.
Well, our culture, like, I get that in Britain they don't have the same Second Amendment rights. However, here,
That's
good.
not the point that he's making. He's saying that the fact that there is still argument over guns is because of populism in America.
Yo, Spittle. All right, let me continue. I just wanted to interject.
By a member of the militia called the 3% Security Force. His name is Chris Hill,
3%.
although he does prefer to be known as General Blood Agent. At the time, my debating partner was properly and constitutionally second in line of succession to the presidency. And while I was interviewing Chris, or Blood, I suppose that would be his moniker's given name. Maybe it's General, actually, now that I think about it. He said the following: if they do something like elect Nancy Pelosi, then I'm grabbing my firearm and I'm running out the front door screaming like a banshee. Now, as evidenced by the presence of Comrade Pelosi, here with us this evening, that version of events did not take place, not least because she wasn't standing for president. I was, however, concerned some months later to see that same AR-15 that fired this cartridge in the hands of the same militia man on the steps of Georgia's state capitol at a Stop the Steal rally, a protest against the...
Doesn't Georgia have open carry laws, if I'm not mistaken? They can have that gun, that same AR-15, and I'm tired of the AR-15 getting a terrible rap. It's a goddamn rifle like any other rifle. Georgia, second open carry. You guys there?
I'm here.
Yep, we're here.
Typically, the way it would go.
It's one of those open, vague stories where he's leaving everything out. So, like, there's no context to this. Yeah, a guy with a gun shot a... I don't know the rules in the area, but people go out into the woods and practice their range all the time.
Right, you was about to say something.
I was going to say, typically what it is to be a federal bill, firearms not allowed in there, but as they did in Michigan, they're allowed to protest it, typically holding it outside of the Capitol, because they're not breaking laws that way.
Georgia is open carry.
I'm out of breath.
It's all good, my friend. But Jen, you were saying again, sorry.
Like, I don't... Okay, like, we do have guns up here. It's just I've never had the need to use one. The only stuff I've ever really handled was, like, bows and arrows. But my dad would go out with his buddy all the time to random places where they would go hiking, and then they would shoot at stumps. So it's normal for... I could see it being normal in certain places in the U.S. where, yeah, I could see someone going out and just practicing a shot. Like, I get that you wouldn't do that everywhere. Like, that wouldn't... I wouldn't assume that, but I could see places where, yeah, people would do that. I just don't know the context here because they're leaving it out.
He's using the argument of gun legislation as a point toward populism being a negative thing, which just no.
He's just doing it in a really bad way. Like, he's doing it in a way where all you can do is point out that, buddy, you clearly don't know anything about the gun laws you're preaching about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not an American either. I absolutely would fail. I would fail your gun tests, But I know more than he does.
I'm just, like, sitting here, though, going, if your debate won, if this is the debate that you had at the Cambridge Union and your debate won,
We know why.
it's specifically because you guys don't understand guns and why people actually need, or why people feel the need to have them.
Why Americans feel the need to have them. You know, again, it's
And
some of this
you
stuff
are-
is British.
And you are too scared of guns.
And
So I
if
agree. You shouldn't have a gun, because if you're that afraid of guns, you will hurt someone, probably yourself.
And then you know what I would do, Angie? I would ask him to actually research how many guns are actually in England, because this bullshit thing that they do where they're like, well, it's illegal, you still have them.
I wonder. Let me look that up really quick. How many guns in England? Gun owners in England. In Great Britain.
Yeah, it's usually shotguns, typically in a side-by-side open.
They won't tell you about the handguns in the city that are owned by criminals because they're dishonest, like this asshole.
All right. According to what I just Googled, I could be wrong. 3.3 per 100 people, and then Google gave me a quick statistic. According to March 31st of 2021, there was 100,056 and 33 firearm certificates, and it's a 2% decrease. 500,000 shotgun certificates, and then there's 500,000 people held a firearm. So you guys have guns. Like, you guys aren't that big. And this is including England, Wales, and Scotland.
Yeah. I call them out because they think that because you're American and you don't look into their business the way that they look into yours, that they pull this shit. And I call them out for it all the time because, yeah, if you point out their numbers, yes, you can do the math. Throw it back in their face because he's a fucking liar. And that doesn't include the hands of criminals. That doesn't include people who shouldn't have had them in the first place. And in all honesty, I agree with that. Criminals shouldn't have guns, but they're criminals. You know?
Yes, but by nature of the very word, they ignore the law. And I had to read this one from Green Badger. Royal subject has an issue with my natural rights. Laughing my ass off. Get fucked, Redcoat.
Right? And I like the British, I do, but I don't like I don't like this side of them because this side treats the other side of England like shit. He wouldn't take credit from anybody that I know because of their accent. And I'm like, dude, go back to school. Learn about a fucking gun. Actually go to an American school and actually learn about how they do shit instead of like pulling crap out of your ass. It's a bad argument.
All right, let me continue.
Angie's right. It's a bad argument. Sorry, Angie.
No worries.
All right, here you go.
Fulfillment of America's democratic processes. The reason I'm telling you this story is not just to show that at Politics Joe we do more than make memes for a living, although that is partly it. It's because Chris Hill and
Mr.
the
Dax.
January 6th insurrectionists did the right thing for the wrong reasons.
No, they did the right thing for something they believed in, and not everybody at January 6th went with malicious intent in their heart. They honestly believed that the election was stolen, and I'm not going to say where my opinion lies on that matter, but if you know me, you know where the fuck I am, and they had every right to be there. Now, the shit that happened at the Capitol building, yeah, I condemn it. But there were agitators there, like, what's his name? Ray Epps. Where is this magical Ray Epps? Everybody that's into the Capitol building has been charged, but Ray Epps.
It's also that everybody who watched those videos saw them enacting entrapment, because I don't disagree with you. As Americans, I kind of assume that you know places where you shouldn't be going. But
Yes.
if you have people waving you in, like, here, come in, it's understandable to see somebody suddenly forgetting the rules. Because
Well, good.
Especially when the person that's waving you in has authority.
yes.
Well, there's something that we are all forgetting. Like, government buildings are open to the public. Like, at any point, there could any government building. Some government buildings are closed to the public. Like the White House is generally closed to the public, except for certain incidents. But other buildings, even when Congress is in session, is open to the public. Like now, the main floor isn't open to the public.
Have you ever been to Congress? Because I've been to a session of Congress.
No, I haven't had the
You
pleasure.
actually have to get tickets for that shit and wait in lines, and the circumstances are very specific to be able to go and view Congress in action.
But you can enter the building.
No, you wait outside.
Really?
Yes.
That's one of the few government buildings that actually
Yeah,
stop
no,
the
you
public.
wait outside until it is your time to enter.
They might have done that for yeah, I can understand why they would do that. Like, it's still a security risk just letting the general public in. Like, you guys have had presidents shot before, so
We had quite a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I could see a few radicals taking out other people, but still, you should still have the right to go. Like, I could understand wanting to have a method of screening people, which is what they're doing. They're screening you.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. They're not going to just let people You're not going to just let people randomly walk into the seat of your
Government. Yeah.
power.
I mean, again, I wouldn't expect, like, hell, you seen the shit you gotta go through to get to a fucking plane. Like, I would assume that Congress would have, like, something similar. Like, you just can't walk in willy-nilly. And I'm pretty sure there's all kinds of dress codes and shit you gotta do. Not dress codes, sorry. Security checks.
Security checks, yeah, there's a shit ton of stuff that you have to go through before you get in that building.
Which I would respect that. I mean, I do think there's crazy people who can't handle their anger with words, and they take it out with violence. And I wouldn't allow for that either. Like, I hate my opponents, but I don't think they should be shot. I think they should be voted out. If not, if you find out they're doing illegal stuff, arrest them.
Yes.
Yeah, there are legal means to dealing with even political overreach. Not what we're talking about.
Dissension?
Misconduct.
Okay.
I'm like going, what is the word I'm trying for? But yeah, political misconduct. There are legal means of dealing with that.
All right, let me continue.
They were right to protest the opaque American electoral system, which, by the design of the founding fathers, seeks to mitigate the power of the people directly expressing their political opinions. At the time of the Philadelphia Convention, no other country directly elected its chief executive. They were wrong, though, to believe Trump to be an actor for the people.
That's irrelevant. That is irrelevant of facts. Whether they believed he was, they believed that a grave injustice happened. Like, they believed that the thing was stolen. And again, I'm not gonna say what shot him on. I'm just.
I want to make sure that people do understand. I get the feeling that this kid drew the short straw and got the side that he didn't actually agree with.
I'm pretty sure.
I feel like this kid got the short straw. Because
you have to have opposition. I was saying you just have to have opposition, and maybe he did have the unfortunate luck.
Yeah. I didn't hear anyone of the British people that actually sounded like they agreed that populism was a detriment to. Like they actually really agreed that populism was a detriment to democracy. I just think this guy got stuck having to argue that it was.
Yeah. Sucks to be a debater.
Because he is, in fact, a product of the establishment, of capital. He is the swamp. He is a somewhat peculiarly populist of and within the system. Please.
That doesn't even clear that. Doesn't suggest that's the reason why he supposedly can understand the corruption at the top of the elites.
He does admit it. I suppose the joke's on his followers for not realizing that when he says it, they might not trust every single thing that comes out of his mouth.
Most of us don't. He's still human. He's still fallible. I mean...
That's why the old joke is, how can you tell when a politician's not lying?
He's talking. Their mouth is shut,
No,
you know?
I said not lying, not when he's lying.
Oh, my bad.
I'm speaking
Again...
louder now, okay?
Wait a minute. Again, Green Badge again. So the king's subject is now has an issue with the Electoral College that he clearly doesn't understand. Shocker. Man, I could somebody doesn't like the British tonight.
It's the ignorance that he's being open about that has us mad, because he's conflating things to get brownie points from the woke side. Like if I shit on Trump, and then shit on guns, going, that's how he's going to win his debate. I'm like, dude, nothing about your debate was good. You lost.
Is exactly the argument that he's trying to make, too. He's picking everything that he knows is like a touch point for Americans. Or everything, let me put it differently. He's taking everything that the British assume is a major touch point for Americans and trying to turn that into an argument against populism. And a lot of it doesn't actually have to do with
anything about the topic.
Yes.
I mean, Trump is a politician. Okay. Guns are bad. No, but okay. Again, how does this relate to the populism argument? How does it relate to the question being posed? Is populism a threat to democracy?
He's basically saying, I don't agree with this, but I know people react well when you touch on things that they're afraid of. So let's touch on everything that people are afraid of.
All right, let me continue.
Yes, he is somewhat peculiar, popular of and within the system, and actually I will argue later that this is a defining characterism, actually, of modern populism and point of distinction with its previous iterations. The crux of this debate, and it's the mistake that the gentleman opposite me made in his contribution, the crux of this debate is to draw a distinction between what is simply a matter of legitimate democracy, that is, popular policy. That is not what we mean on this side by populism. I'm in favor of a widened franchise, of harnessing digital technology to foster civic engagement through direct democracy, of challenging established interests and exploding inequality. But we must do the right things for the right reasons. And actually, we must do these things for the express purpose of defeating populism. The opposition will seek to conflate democracy and populism. They already have. They are not the same thing. Do not also fall for the sleight of hand trick, the misdirection, the suggestion that populism is not as much of a threat as authoritarianism, or hegemonic capital, financialization, and insider trading. How all these threats to democracy relate to one another is not the matter we are here to debate today. We are debating whether populism is a threat to democracy. Last one.
Does that characterization not presume that populism cannot oppose hegemonic capitalism? Is Bernie Sanders, is Jeremy Corbyn, are they not populists?
They can, and I will come to the point that you just made momentarily. We're debating whether populism is a threat to democracy.
Hold on. Go ahead.
So is he gonna sound out what the fuck's your point anytime soon?
No. He's just letting us know why you guys were right for danking their tea into the sea. And you should disperse with throwing salt at him until it goes away.
Damn.
Jesus Christ, this dude just does nothing but fucking edge, apparently.
And democracy is tyranny of the majority. That's why we're a representative republic.
That actually ends up... Okay, I watched this because I wasn't sure if we were going to watch it on stream.
Oh.
And I wanted to know what I was talking about.
Yes,
he ends up basically making that same argument. Go ahead and finish.
no, go ahead. If you got a point.
it.
Okay. All right.
He basically ends up, his argument ends up being the equivalent of populism itself isn't bad or counter to democracy, but what we've turned around and let populism become is the problem.
Okay. I'm going to play it because...
Not less of a threat than oligarchy, not more of a threat than the Conservative Party. Is it a threat? You must hold that thought in your mind as you pass through the voting lobbies this evening. To understand my arguments, a brief definition of terms. I have taken democracy as a reference to our own democracies, that is, European and American, representative, liberal democracies. Liberal because we value populism, the rule of law, autonomous institutions, individual and group liberty. Representative to maintain a degree of distance between the electorate and difficult decisions, often with no good options, that require the balancing of a multiplicity of interests and prevent the tyranny of the majority. Guaranteed and ensured by the accountability of regular elections with a secret ballot, free media, and a range of candidates. In most instances, the people can and should be trusted to make decisions about their own lives, but not always. And not.
If I make a decision about my life, I should be able to do that. You can't tell me to do something because you think it's better. Justin, take this needle.
I mean,
Why?
You can recommend, hey, I wouldn't recommend that. The only thing to where it's like you wouldn't have the freedom is it's like without repercussions from it. Like, you would have the freedom to go out there and try to end someone's life, but there are repercussions to attempting to do that or succeeding in doing that.
Yes.
Without check or balance. An example. I host an LBC show on the weekends. Nancy, if you're not familiar, it's the supreme broadcasting organisation here in the UK. It's talk radio, it's a phone-in show. And one of the subjects I like to talk about is criminal justice, forgiveness, and the way that we wage war on the symptoms of poverty, like crime, rather than the causes of poverty. And I have spoken to many people who believe that... Bless you. Who believe that terrorists should not receive legal representation, should be tortured, or simply executed. And this was a genuine argument, executed to...
Hold on. I don't see... Wow. Yeah. If you're gonna attack me by... If you're gonna come to my country, my home, and punch me in the throat and try to kill me, I don't think you should receive anything but a swift bullet. Like, they aren't citizens. They're not entitled to the protections of our laws.
That's what I was gonna say. They don't have citizenship. Like, if it's a citizen who's terrorizing, yes, they are still afforded everything underneath the law. If they're over here legally, then they don't have the diplomatic immunity, which I still, to this day, think is one of the biggest fucking mistakes any country's ever made. But yeah, you would still have to follow that. But if you're over here illegal, like over in a country illegally, and break a law, you don't have right to representation because you don't have rights. You weren't supposed to be there.
And Mr. Dax, I completely agree. Crime is not a symptom; it is a cause. Like, crime causes poverty. Like, that's just what it is. And I want to see this one too. So Mr. Green Badger Outdoors writes, democracy will envy all, contend with all, endure to pull down all, and when by chance it happens to the upper hand for a short time, to get the upper hand for a short time, it will revengeful, bloody, and cruel. John Adams. Thank you for that, Green Badger. Let me continue.
Reduce prison overheads and create more space for other prisoners.
Well, yes. Again, these aren't our citizens. They aren't entitled to 3 square. Like, I'm not a bloodthirsty monster. Like, by no means. But you attacked me first.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't. I don't have to protect you. I don't have to feed you. Like, you throw a rock at me and I defended myself. Oh, well, I'm entitled to the protections of your laws. No, you're not.
Tyr, I think I understand the problem. You see,
Yes.
The problem is this guy thinks that he's in a different boat than the Mexicans and the South Americans crossing the border illegally, because I think you should deport him too.
Well, he's in jolly old England, so.
Ah, well, don't let him in America.
Yo, Kefk.
Hi, Kefk. Kefk,
Obviously, this evidence is anecdotal, so here's the evidential rub. The UK's last execution took place in the mid-60s. It wasn't until 2014, it took 50 years before polling showed that support for capital punishment had dipped below 50% in the general population. Now, while Lee Anderson is right that the death penalty is 100% effective at stopping criminals from committing future offences.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There they are again. This is who you're in league with, pal. I'm 100%.
It is. Again, if you know that, all right, the old laws, like if you stole, you get your hand cut off. I bet your ass didn't steal a fucking second time.
Well, that's the thing he's not bringing into it, is the fact that the law shouldn't just be something to be a repercussion of, you did this, so this happens. It's, that this can happen, so you're less likely to do it. It's kind of like, it almost falls into the whole religion thing for some folks of how they are, to where it's like, you're not going to sin because you don't want to risk going to hell. So you try to live a good life. Well, if there are repercussions for being a criminal that can be very harsh, it reduces the likelihood of you wanting to be a criminal.
Shit. We can use the example of Chicago and the kids that were robbing, like doing flash mobs and just stealing shit from like gas stations and 7-Eleven and shit. There were no repercussions, so they just kept doing it.
Well, hell, we can go back to the 2020 riots and whatnot, to where there were the DAs that they would, people would get arrested and they'd just be let back out.
Yeah. So, without consequences, and I get capital punishment is a contentious thing. Like, I think it should be reserved for, like, the really fucked up.
Oh, yes. Capital punishment, especially if we're going to talk about death, should be pretty much to where the evidence is so concrete that it's next to impossible to say without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, like the only way they could prove you not do it is if God himself came down from heaven, testified on your behalf.
And that's where it's like, I'm also with Penn and Teller on that whole thing. For some of the criminals as well, maybe we should just stop fucking feeding them as well. We'll have fucking less better food for them. Like, that's the whole point of prison and everything, is so you don't reoffend.
Yes. Well, that's the original premise of prison. Most prisons nowadays are like for-profit organizations.
Oh god, for-profit prison shouldn't fucking exist.
Yeah. Yo, Lofty. What up? All right.
Right that his populist politics.
Go ahead, Jen.
Real quick, I just sometimes with the police or the jail thing, I actually don't know that for everyone it's really working. I sometimes come back to like either public shaming, like real public shaming, like real public shaming, because like there's times where I'm like, I don't think they're really being punished. I don't.
Oh, putting them in like the stocks and shit again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
like I get maybe not going all the way to like just sentencing people to death, but like no, there's been times where I'm like I disagree with how nice we are to people, because there's some people where you're like, no, I'm sorry, there's no reason for you to still be alive. There just isn't. You add nothing to society. You're a hazard to everybody else. You're never going to change, and all we do is feed you.
And we are looking at more than just wood chipper gopher.
Alright, Spittlebuggy. Jail was meant to be a penance for your misdeeds. Punishment isn't just housing them, though. Like, yes, you should do... Like the chain gangs in like the South, where you had to break rocks. You had to make little rocks, big rocks into little rocks. Mm-hmm. It is to repay a debt to society. That's what jail was. And whether your debt was, 5 years hard labor or 20 days hard labor, it was hard labor.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I will say that I'm not a fan of when it comes to shit like that is, basically that they'll go through and try to get rid of the two rights, because if you were rehabilitated, they'll pretty much try to get you to sign away, like, being able to ever own a firearm again. Well, there's everything but that. That's a different story. Sorry.
Well, really quickly, I had an argument with Sturm once. I think after the completion of your sentence, after you're off probation and you completed, like, say you got 7 years and you were on probation for, after 3 and you did 4 years on probation, I think you should get all your rights back. You should be allowed to vote.
Oh, yes.
You should be allowed to own a firearm.
What typically gets people after that isn't just the whole fact of being off probation, is their debt to society still not paid, because they still have other fines and whatnot that they have to pay off. So
Fair
basically,
enough.
it's one of those things. It's kind of like the whole, whatever, or 3-letter alphabet agencies, just 6 ways from Sunday, they're going to try to fuck you.
I think, at the very least, if after you've gotten out, you should be allowed to vote. Like, that is the biggest expression of your civil duties and your rights as a citizen. And the right to protect yourself. That's just me. I'll continue.
Politics threatens our democracy. Be it that we should bring back hanging, or that immigrants should, and I'm quoting here, so apologies, Mr. President, fuck off back to France. So, what do I mean by populist politics? It's anti-elite, anti-institutional. It favors mass mobilization of the popular majority. It is majoritarian. Sorry, I'm going to make some progress now. It is majoritarian, therefore illiberal, and consequently, it is nativist. Simply put, who are the people? I would challenge all three of you to define them for...
The people are the people who have been born here, who pay taxes here, and who have a vested interest in seeing our nation move forward. The people. There you go. Like, it isn't that hard. Like, this isn't a gotcha. It's not something that, oh well, you have to defend. No, if you're born here and you pay taxes here and you want to see your nation thrive and move forward, you are the people. Anyone else got a contention? Like, is my definition wrong? Did I go mute?
I hear you. I'm not entirely sure what you're arguing.
No, he's asking, like, define what the people are. Like he
Did you
asked
cut
that.
him off right there?
Oh,
Like right when he
Majority.
said
It is
that?
sorry. I'll play it again.
and fuck off back to France. So, what do I mean by populist politics? It's anti-elite, anti-institutional. It favors mass mobilization of the popular majority. It is majoritarian. Sorry, I'm going to make some progress now. It is majoritarian, therefore illiberal, and consequently, it is nativist. Simply put, who are the people? I would challenge all three of you to define them for us here this evening. So,
Yeah, and I defined it.
The only thing I would disagree with you on here is necessarily the whole thing of like who have invested interest, because we currently do have companies that that are outside the U.S. that have things inside the U.S. So they technically have a vested interest. So mine is typically that whole thing of not just those who pay taxes, but anyone who is a natural born or naturalized citizen.
Okay, that works for me.
They are the people. But just saying like a vested interest, it's like, well, you got to remember our government kind of sees corporations as people. But I am going to jump off and switch over to my computer, so
All right.
I'll be off for a moment.
We should be able to hear him better. So.
Oh, yes.
And I am not going to make a statement on this until he finishes his next part.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll play it. Jen, you got anything? Jen?
Did we lose you?
Oh no, we lost Jen. Right.
populism threatens the liberal and pluralistic components of our democracy. As I said previously, it is a tyranny of the majority. Clearly, it can also be a force for good in certain contexts, like widespread institutional corruption. It is the setting which shapes populism's impact on democracy. It can contribute to a more energetic national politics, economic reform, the redistribution of power and wealth. Unfortunately, mainstream parties very quickly appropriate the secondary, exclusionary aspect of the populists' program.
Jen, you back?
Yep, sorry.
We thought we lost you.
Nope,
Go ahead.
I had to run to the ladies' room. I always just kind of sneak it.
Sorry about that. I'm going to let this play out so we can get Angela's point of view.
Sure.
As you're seeing right now here in Britain, as the Tories fear losing voters to reform. What dictates whether populism is good, or bad, is its context. And let me tell you, boy, have we got some context right now. As the Petri dish's agar jelly is perfect for microorganism growth, so too is the culture of austerity and stagflation for the bacteria of populism to feed and flourish. We now face the danger.
Sorry about that. We are buffering.
Let me
I
refresh.
see that.
YouTube might not like us having this conversation.
The most successful political party in history, pivoting
It may
to
not.
the populism of the radical right, as it looks for a new ideological soul in the wake of likely electoral massacre. That prospect should terrify you. You do not need to be a scholar of Hannah Arendt to understand how defining a homogenous, pure people along usually ethno-nationalist lines in opposition to an establishment and the other leads to rifles that fire rounds like that one appearing outside our parliaments.
All right. That gun would never appear outside your parliament.
Who fucking who?
So I find the irony in this. The irony in this is the last time when Trump did win, you know, when he beat Hillary, and they were all like, but the populist vote. Are they afraid that it's gonna show exactly how wrong they are? I think that's why they're worried.
All right, so
hear what he's leaning for.
So I don't think he understands the concept of the Electoral College. It is to give the weaker states
I'm not
a
laughing
voice.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing in general of how many people don't understand the Electoral College.
The Electoral College.
Like the whole point of the Electoral College is to give, let's say, a small state like Nebraska, not the same amount of power, but enough power to affect the presidential election.
Well, it's to make sure that those smaller states aren't just taken advantage of, because it is the whole thing. People in the city don't know what people in the country need, and people in the country don't necessarily know what people in the city need.
Yes.
And one shouldn't be dictating the other.
Exactly.
We should be working together.
We should be. And I brought this question to a friend of mine, a coworker of mine. I asked him, all right, say you're a farmer in bumfuck nowhere in California. We'll use California for example. And I'm a city kid. Are our priorities the same?
Absolutely not, and I can speak on that with
certainty.
Experience.
Okay. Now,
That's confidence.
Yeah.
Yes,
now,
thank you.
If there was a ordinance that came, if something I did in the city affected you in the county, if there was an ordinance that banned chicken coops over a certain size and at X amount of feet and whatnot, why the fuck do I care? It doesn't matter to me, so I'm going to vote against it. I don't have to deal with chicken coops, but you're fucked now because a group of my friends all outvoted you, and now chicken coops can't be over a certain size. That is literally what the Electoral College is trying to avoid. It is me fucking you over because you don't have enough friends to vote your way or vote me against.
Or because you're so far away that I just have no comprehension of what you're even doing.
Yeah, your existence is you might as well be on another planet, even if we're in the same state. And they don't get that. Oh, the popular vote. Well, if the popular vote only counted, then major cities would decide every election.
Yeah.
Flyover country would literally be flyover country.
This is stuff that I've thought about our education system for a really long time. Mm-hmm. Because I remember as a kid, and this is one of those things where, yeah, I am happy I'm 42. Because the amount of times that as a kid I would get to go out and see what a farm was like, what a pig farm was like, what a cow farm was like, what the chickens were like. So we knew where our food was coming from. We knew who the people were who were feeding us, and we were taught to show respect to them because they work really hard. And
they grow our food.
Yeah, basically, as long as they're not an asshole to you, don't be an asshole to them.
And I don't know, like I know all our school systems have had hits to the budget. As much as they scream for money, it never goes towards stuff that would actually educate the kids. It always goes to bigger administrations that doesn't do anything for the kids. But they've cut out like the art programs, like the woodworking programs, anything that would actually get the kids out and learning about like the world outside of the city. They cut that shit out.
Oh yes.
Like big time. So
that was like,
I wouldn't let the kids in our cities vote for our farmers. Not now.
Jen, how am I supposed to expose them to the joys of transgenderism if I teach them about woodworking? Unless it's for penis.
Right?
Well, that's the weird thing, because like she said, they got rid of art. They're looking at trying to get rid of a lot of the music stuff as well. And those are actually some of the best places to have people to have an outlet. And typically kids who play an instrument actually do better in school.
Angela was about to say something. I'm sorry. Let Gardner complete a thought.
It's okay.
Cut.
Actually, my experience with student government at my college is what made me realize the actual importance of the electoral college. Specifically because I would go to these events where students were voting on topics within the district that affected them, and it was made very plain to us while we were there the differences between the colleges in the cities and the colleges in the rural communities and things like that, to the point where we have this area called the Valley here in California that is mostly farmland, and there are colleges there that do not have water at all during the year.
Okay.
Because all of their water is diverted to the farms.
Oh, they're pulling a fucking Nestle?
Rather than having running water on campus.
Well, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. So these are the differences between things that like you see the differences between how things are and what is actually impactful in these different communities when you're in an experience like that. And basically what I was a part of the student senate. And that's how I got to go and see these things.
Okay.
But we were basically an electoral college for colleges throughout the state. And so it just, like, city people are not going to understand the things that, the different issues that happen with rural people or even suburban people. It's just not something that you can.
It's something that's
see
better lived
because you don't experience it. And unfortunately, there are more people in the city than there are
in the county,
in the country, and
our culture's really changed a lot too. Like I would say, like even in our if you go back like 30 years ago, you had more. I'm going to say it, people born in America. And I'm not talking about what you look like. I just mean people born in America. Because you had family that could live out of the cities and people living in the cities. And you would have exchanges. You'd go to visit each other. You'd have the chance to, well, I get to see what you live like for like a month during the summer or something and vice versa. But I don't think we do that as much anymore. Like, I really don't.
Yeah, we don't go out as much.
Yeah, because I was raised by coastal. I spent large portions of my year in New England, even though I spent most of my year in California. So, and nobody does that anymore.
No, they don't. They really, really don't. It's actually kind of sad because, like, if you live in one place in America and you travel to an entire different state, it is like traveling across the world because you have. You technically have, in a way. The U.S. and, the North American continent is huge. Like, there's so much variety in the place that we call home. There's so many things that you can experience just here.
And it's really amazing how different.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
That was one of the fun things about the military was meeting all the different people from where they came from and everything. But we did have a guy at my final duty station that flat out said, "I don't understand why anyone goes hunting. You just go buy your food from the store."
Yeah, but when your store, like if you live in the county and your nearest store is 80 miles that way.
Well, he just didn't understand it because some people would still, like, even though they were on a military base and had access to everything, they would still choose to go out and hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your skills sharp.
Yeah.
Keeps your skills sharp, and because venison is delicious. Tell him to go fuck himself. Bambi is delicious on my plate with potatoes and carrots. He can go eat as many moo-moos as he wants.
We kind of also gave him shit because the dude was like 5'5", And we're like, dude, it's okay. We understand that if like it came to it, you wouldn't even be able to one-on-one with yourself, right? Even with how much you work out.
Ouch. Ouch.
I just stared at him like, are you retarded? Do you not know anything about anything for rural lifestyle?
I'm going to go refill my drink, and I will be right back. I can hear you guys because I got my headphones on.
My dinner is done, so I'm gonna go grab that.
Well, that's like the chick that turned around and said, why do we have jobs? We could just be living free range in the field and having a wonderful life. And it's like,
you can go do that anytime, doll. We'll watch you. We'll have someone follow you around with the.
And then she came up with, all I really need is a Taco Bell. I'm like,
uh-huh.
And what are those people? And I was gonna say, and is Taco Bell going to magically create you food?
It doesn't even occur. It doesn't even occur to her for that to work. Everybody working in that Taco Bell has to be a slave for her. Doesn't even occur to her. Because they're doing it for free, you know. She ain't paying for shit because she doesn't have a job.
Yeah, because I'm just like, you really said that.
Yeah. They're also the first people to cry about, like, slavery and shit. And I'm like, you need to shut up.
Well, the problem is this. The problem as I see it is children nowadays aren't being told, oh, well, you know, we could all live like the painter lifestyle. No one would have to work. But we would have to work. You would have to do something because shit don't magically appear. Like, take your paint, for instance. Someone has to get the dyes, manufacture the chemicals, mix the chemicals, package the chemicals, package the paint, mix the paints, package the paints into, like, the tubes you're using to use the paint. They have to make the easels and the brushes and all the other shit you use to make your art supplies. Like, it requires someone to do something. There is a supply chain, and people need to work that chain. If no one worked, nothing moves.
All they can do is go back to the old Ralphie May joke to where, you know, you'd have the people that would obviously be like the ones being like, you know, stop oil. We shouldn't be going to the Middle East. You know, no war for oil and whatnot. Like, of course we need to do that. Like, we don't have to worry about oil. Like, we take the bus, or I just borrow my dad's Suburban.
And how is it gonna go?
Yeah, that's the whole point. It's just
water.
Like, God damn it,
it's gonna go on water, but I'll continue. I'll finish this one off. It's only like 2 minutes left.
Irony. No. The obscenity of modern populism is that its exponents are actually a part of the establishment they seek to weaponize their followers against, be they Trump or otherwise. The Tories are no doubt relishing the freeing prospect of decrying the woke blob and not actually being in charge of it. To malign the British establishment, which they govern.
You aren't even in charge of it. Sorry. Keep going.
The 21st century, for that matter. Finally, I would ask you to look where there are or were populists in power. Turkey, Hungary. Do you consider them flourishing democracies? Or
That's comparing apples to oranges. You're saying because there are populist governments everywhere else, that it's a general. But Turkey and whatever country said.
And don't forget as well that half of those countries are as big as like just regular fucking states.
Where there are or were popular.
Go ahead.
Well, it's just when he's like he thinks that he's in charge of the woke. And one of the things I said last week was just a thought that I would happily increase all the woke shit going on at the college in Toronto, because the bigger of a hell house it is, the more I can see that they have no control over it. They have no control over it.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't have that many connections, but I would if I could.
I listened to a guy called the Black Conservative Perspective, and his biggest thing was give them what they want.
Yep.
Give them what they want.
Like, I mean, I feel bad for Functional, but all the same, I'm like, you can move, man. You can move.
Green Badger, ask me if I give a fuck about Turkey or Hungary. Like, again, you're using two European countries with totally different, let's say, heritages. Because I do believe that Turkey is kind of Muslim-y, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I do believe Hungary is kind of Nazi, if I'm not mistaken. You know?
They are the very, very hungry caterpillar.
They're also really conveniently ignoring Dubai right now, which I find hilarious because as much as they're like pro-Muslim this, pro-Muslim that, like every day this week, I've noticed that, like Dubai's having a hard time. I don't hate you for being Muslim. I think you're wrong, but I wish you guys luck because I've been through floods. They suck.
Yeah,
they suck.
But
they'll be okay.
But just because Turkey and Hungary have populist governments doesn't make them they're Western. No, this isn't the same. You're comparing apples and oranges.
Trust me, if I walk out of a tourist trap without the headscarf on, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
You're not even comparing apple and oranges because both of those are fruits. This is like comparing apples and a freaking baseball bat.
Oh, man.
Excuse my language.
It's all good.
Populists in power, Turkey, Hungary, do you consider them flourishing democracies or the front of a democratic recession? And that is the nature of the warning I bring to you this evening, although it is twofold. First, that conditions are perfect for these horrors to take root on the politics of these islands. Second, it is our unfortunate fate that the chosen champion to answer the populist challenge is Keir Starmer.
The reason this guy doesn't like Hungary, the reason he doesn't like Hungary is because they're not letting in the migrants.
Good.
Yeah, they basically told them to go fuck themselves.
Have you seen what they're doing on the island? Is it Sarkozy? I think it's Sarkozy. Yeah.
Everywhere they've gone, it's been you can tell the damages. It's sad, actually. It's depressing what they've done.
And they demand all the cultures turn to theirs.
Look at fucking Denver in America.
Yeah, I've been to Denver. I was 6.
You know,
it was nice.
Back then, now it's probably a shithole.
Of the old liberal order themselves, often actually the drivers of populism itself, will not suffice. It is at best misguided to believe so. If you find any of what I've said compelling this evening, then you know the answer to the question. Populism isn't just a threat to our democracy, it is the greatest challenge of our times. Thank you.
Ali Dugmore. No. No, good sir. No, good sir. Your argument. I respect your argument, but it is. What is the word I'm looking for? Misguided.
Uninformed.
Uninformed. That worked too.
Very, but also, I really got to look up that terminology. I think TC did it the other day. But there's a term for what he's doing, which is to throw out like 4 or 5 different topics that have nothing to do with the topic you're supposed to be talking about. And it's meant to distract. It's absolutely meant to distract you.
Shotgun approach?
Yeah. Because it just, you can't focus on anything because you're so derailed by all these other subjects that have nothing to do with it. And he's hyping up emotions at the same time with what he thinks is going to hype up emotions. And he knows he's in a room full of people who would do that. But, like, even in his own crowd, like, they're all bored. Like, the guy in the back is just like, ugh. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I just want to see Stella Braid, and I just want to free the titties.
All
You know?
right, Green Badger Outdoors.
My wife's not even gonna make mash tonight.
She ain't gonna be making bangers and mash. Green Badger. Do any of those countries have freedom of speech, the right to bear arms? And again, the United States is not a democracy. We're a representative republic. You know, Spittle. The argument is flawed and misguided. Spittle again. Filibustering. Shotgun tactics. All right, so I'll move on to the next gentleman.
I think I'd have had more respect if he just came out and freaking put his finger over his lips and just went. I don't know how well that came through.
Yeah, but he's got to try to at least sound like he wants to make an argument.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know.
It's just the gun thing.
He's getting graded on this shit.
Well, no, this is
I'm
no
teasing Tier.
Oh.
This is a competition, not a class.
Yes.
Still, the bullet made me laugh. I was
Well,
like,
it's a
how old is
competition.
that damn thing? Do you even know how old that damn thing is?
We in Europe have a permission from the Crown to talk about certain topics within allowed limits.
You got a license for that.
Got a license for that.
You know what's sad, though, is if you walked around a park in England and the only gunshot shell you found was from an AR-15, I'd be disappointed. You know, because you're kind of wanting one of those, like, Civil War bullets that are really super rare. Because that's like a gold mine.
Shit, I
Well,
would
for
love to
that,
find a cannon shell.
Well, for that, you're not. It depends on the cannon because the cannons didn't use shells.
Well, they were
A lot of
little pellets, weren't they? Like little...
Yeah, you're talking. You're not talking about the cartridge that would maintain all the powder and hold everything that's being used to fire like a modern day firearm would be used. And you're talking about something of just finding the projectile.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like the mullet shot, or I think it's just a little pellet,
Yeah.
like a lead shot. But still, if you found a little lead shot that came from back then, I'd be more. Yeah, I'd be happy about that. I'd keep that.
Green Badger, I was just about to ask if you had a license for that brass.
Sorry, I'm really bad at describing what I have the image of in my head because I don't know the terminology. I'll admit that I've never handled guns, but I remember like seeing images and stories and stuff and being like, it looked like this.
Well, hopefully, I didn't sound like an asshole while like basically trying to figure out what you meant because like
I don't mind because that's how I learn.
And
I can't learn about them if I don't ask.
Well, I know sometimes I can come off as a dick when I'm actually not meaning to.
Mm-mm.
Understandable.
I don't think so.
All right. Let's move on to the next gentleman, Oscar Whittle.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he's going to argue for populism.
To be
And he
a
is not very green for living in a trash can.
Still believe that there is more that unites us than divides us. Mr. President, I would like to begin by thanking you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight in the first of many great debates this term. I would also like to echo the words of the gentleman who spoke before me in congratulating the whole of the committee for putting together what promises to be an excellent Trinity term. However, this being said, Mr. President, I do have somewhat of a confession to make. While I was absolutely beside myself with delight when you asked me to speak in this debate, I admit that having finished our conversation, it occurred to me that I had somewhat of an issue. I did not believe that populism is, or ever could be, anything but a threat to democracy. Indeed, as any good student of history and politics such as myself knows, the ultimate source of all political knowledge is, without a shadow of a doubt, Rory Stewart and Alistair Campbell's The Rest is Politics podcast. I myself am an avid listener, and as they seem to be rather firmly in the anti-populist category, I confess that I took it for granted that populism is an inherent evil. Indeed, having recently read Mr. Stewart's memoir, it seems the poor chap has spent his entire career fighting the forces of populism and falling rather short. So what is it about populism that makes it so worthy of fighting? Whenever populism is mentioned today, it comes loaded with negative connotations. Xenophobia, racism, bigotry, paranoia, demagoguery. These are all terms that come hand in hand with most of the attacks on populism. And honourable members, I am sure, as you already have heard, that the proposition will use many of them tonight. To some extent, this is with good reason. The particular form of right-wing populism, which has an iron grip on politics across the globe today, often begets a shameful level.
Again, can anybody explain to me what right-wing populism is? Can anybody
Everything they don't like? Everything they don't like,
Okay.
basically. Oh, go ahead, Edgy. You probably have a good answer.
No, you first.
No, mine was basically that. Everything they don't agree with.
It's what I was talking about earlier here when I said that the arguments that they make in these debates is basically that the problem isn't populism itself so much as the fact that it has become party divided. So there isn't like people don't think about their own best interests anymore, which is what populism should be. Mm-hmm. They think about it as team sports politics. So, what do you say? Right-wing populism
Mm-hmm.
would be what right-wing people think, not what people in general think.
Which is why I think none of these people actually interact with anybody who is somebody who would have right-leaning politics. Not they use right-wing as a way to undermine your opinions, your education, where you're coming from, what your point is, what your stance is. It's basically labeling everything that you have as opinion as a talking point. And he's letting you know, like, when they talk like that, they're letting you know that they don't actually have conversations with anyone on our side. Where you can tell that people on our side have frequent conversations with them, know what they're talking about. And I can tell you that I, as somebody not American, if I was, the reason I would be voting for Trump is because there is nobody else available who is showing themselves to be better at the moment. You know? Like, I liked it. I like Ron DeSantis, but I like him better where he is. I think you'll get more done when you have more people in other positions than just the president.
Mm-hmm. What is the saying? A good king can lead an army, but without good generals, he's fucked.
And I don't think any of them understand any of that. They just think we're all pro-Trump because, you know, he was WWF guy. And I'm like, yeah, that stuff is funny. He's awesome to me.
These are the same type of people been like the right-wing news of Fox and that conservative Tucker Carlson, but have no idea what's even being fucking said.
But even then, Tucker Carlson openly admits, like, he's not really conservative. Like, no. Joe Rogan isn't a conservative.
No.
But he's, again, like you said, everything right of them is right-wing. And Joe Rogan is right of them.
Like, Joe Rogan voted for Biden. I don't know why they don't seem to know that, but he's said it before. He voted for Biden.
Because they're idiots. If you don't agree, it's like that whole thing. If you watch how they eat their own, as soon as you disagree with them, they just fucking go off. How dare you? Like, you ever really want to see a racist white person see a fucking white liberal woman see a black male conservative?
Tari once said this. He disagrees with J.K. Rowling for the exact same reasons the left disagrees. She agrees with them 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what he said about RFK Jr. The whole fact is, like, he is way more lefty than people think he is, and they just think he's righty because of, like, him being against COVID and him being against frickin' Biden, basically.
It's even then, technically, Biden would be right wing to them because the major thing right now is shitting on Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Biden ain't shitting on Israel. Like, so they would call, like, by any metric or standard, he's right wing.
Oh God, no! All that remind me of that whole thing of like we're hunger striking for Palestine in shifts.
In shifts.
Yes.
It's because it's Biden that they're doing it. Like, Biden is probably doing everything he can to keep his Jewish voters right now, because I don't think that side of the left knows how much money he does get from them.
Mm-hmm.
But they pay everybody. Like, they go both sides. They do. Like, the Jewish community is like us, like everybody. They choose who they like. But but what they're seeing is absolutely a total betrayal. But I will call out their community, because they're swinging at everybody. Like, if you're from the Israel group, you really have to be careful, because they swing at everybody, because they don't know who's an enemy and who isn't. And I think that's part of the problem. But I don't doubt that they think that if they keep this up, he'll bend to them, because as an old man, he's already kind of proven that he's pushable, because he's not in control of anything.
I think it was said that one of the reasons why they didn't want Trump is because it's easier to control a weak old man than it is to control a strong old man.
Well, we can already see who the weak old man is, and it isn't Trump.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, every other time that I've seen your politics, when the politics ended, the anger and the mudslinging ended. But even when Trump lost this last round, you could tell that they were still burying him. You know?
Like, he was impeached after he left. Like, they tried to impeach him after he left office.
He's still a loose cannon. Like, he might do some stuff that they like, but he's a loose cannon.
Jen, I could instantly tell you how to beat Trump. Ignore him.
Right?
Like if Trump's ability is his ability to bluster and yell. If they'd have left him to his own devices, they'd have ignored him, he wouldn't be as popular. But they kept attacking, and you overplayed your hand. Like, you believe you had all aces when you didn't have a fucking pair. You overplayed it, and now you're being called out, and you're losing on every metric. The fucking Jack Smith thing is falling apart. Alvin Bragg's case is DOA. Stormy Daniels is fucking DOA. Fucking Letitia James is going to get overturned, and she can't touch his properties. Fucking E. Jean Carl's going to be fucked because the guy, one of the biggest proponents of the law, is saying it's unconstitutional. Funny.
I know.
Funny.
It's going to be a legend on how to fail badly.
Yes. She's falling apart. Like, what do they got left? And all of this is because they could not stop attacking this man. Had they ignored him, had they left him to his own devices, had they just said, okay, you yell over there, we're just going to fucking do what we want to do.
Oh, it falls in the whole thing. They do this time and time again. Like, they went to Trump in that whole thing because, like, basically other people died down. Like, remember the whole thing with Richard Spencer? Mm-hmm. He's going to speak at this campus, so we're going to go there and protest. Dude, just let him speak. Don't even fucking go. Ignore him. You're just amplifying his voice and making him a martyr.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when they punched him. Like, he got punched. He got sucker punched. Yeah. Like, it is like. But you know what gets me? He's advocating for the exact same thing they want.
Mm-hmm.
He wants an ethno state. You want an ethno state. How are you two opposed to each other? Like,
it's the same stuff they did to Milo. Like, I still follow Milo. I can never say his last name.
Milo Yiannopoulos.
But I still follow him. Like, I was never really into his stuff because he's a little bit too flamboyant for me. But I agree with his opinions. But if they didn't push the crap that they did on him, like the attacks at the schools that he would go to, the harassment online, it was harassment. They're still harassing him. They still harass him. As far as I'm concerned, I'll always follow him because...
How dare a gay say something like that?
He can't even like the stuff they've done to him. I'm like, fuck all of you. Don't dare say that you come from a place of compassion when you did that to somebody because he didn't agree with your opinion.
Shit,
And I don't think he's perfect. There was a lot of stuff I could have memed him about.
Shit,
They were compassionately trying to burn him alive.
Yeah, but look at people like Larry Elder. Like, how you threw eggs at him, like, because he dared speak out against the plantation.
They dressed up like a monkey.
The black face of white supremacy.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to figure that one out. Someone has not squared that circle for me, and I'm trying to figure out how the fuck that shit works.
like nobody on our side would have gotten away with that. We would have been roasted alive. They would have put us on a pit and roasted us.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ange.
No, go ahead.
All I was gonna say is like it is essentially, I'm going to use a Star Wars term, the rule of two, and the concept is that with each successive generation, there's always two, in order to grow stronger, to distill and purify, if you will. That's essentially what the rule of two is, and that's what the left is. It's the fucking rule of two. It is, we'll eat the non-believers to strengthen the true believers, and when those non-believers, when the second group of non-believers come, we'll eat them until only the true believers remain.
Shun the non-believers, shun Charlie.
And that's essentially what it is. It's the we're cleansing the non-believers, and it's fucking going insane. That's why they're fanatical in their beliefs. And that's why you could program them to say anything. At one point, the biggest thing was Ukraine. Oh, we gotta fight Ukraine because Russia bad. Up.
That's why I genuinely do think that their side is more like a cult than ours is, because...
Ange, hold on.
Sorry.
Ange, you want to say something?
I have to make a statement because I keep hearing our side and their side.
Yes.
Sure.
I'm not on anybody's side, but mine and the people that I care about. I'm not a partisan politician. I am actually genuinely a centrist who votes based on how I feel about the specific.
So you're a normal person?
Yes.
I'm going to say it to you like this, Ange. Go ahead. I'm let you finish. I'll tell you what I say.
I will tell you that I will not vote for either Trump or Biden in the next election.
Mm-hmm.
I will vote for whatever third party candidate I think has a chance of getting the percentage up to guarantee that there will be a third party candidate on the national ballot going forward. Because a lot of our problem is that there is not
two-party system.
Yeah. There are a shit ton of people who do not realize that there are more than just Republicans and Democrats out there.
Listen, you are singing the sweet song for me in that one. I would love to see an actual third party come up. And the dumbest thing you always hear from either party is, well, if you vote for him, it's just a vote for the other guy, or you're just throwing your vote away. It's my fucking vote. I'll do what I want with it, dick.
Exactly.
I want to point out something, and this is how I ended up with my side and their side. I was on nobody's side until they forced me on one side. When they started messing with kids and shit, I instantly decided what side I was on.
That's what I'm saying, though. That is a fuck. I can't think of the word, but it's a specific item to vote on. It isn't your side or my side. That is the children's side. And if you're talking about hurting kids, I will vote against that specific topic every time.
So I'm not going to say that I disagree with you, because I do think you're constrained by having two, which I'm going to be real with you. You really only have one party, because it doesn't matter if you go for Democrats or Republicans. You can clearly see that there's too many people down the middle who are on one party.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really have a right leaning or a left leaning. You have an oligarch who's just not being honest about it. But when you go into extra parties, the thing is what you are going to get is you're going to get alternatives to the same parties. And that's not a bad thing, because it does narrow down more of what your specific choices are. Like for a middle ground person, it is nicer, because you might have a party that's maybe a little less conservative, like they're a little bit more in the middle, but they have more of the conservative side. Or, I'm only using those terms because those are just policies that we're talking about. Like, we're just talking about how we kind of lean in terms of what we like to see happen.
Mm-hmm.
But like if I were to say problems up here, yeah, we have 6 parties, but 4 of them are communist, and you really wouldn't know the difference between them if you didn't know that, if you didn't live up here. So yes, you can have more options, but really know what it is that you're looking for, because up here they gang up. Like it is taking all of our effort to put into the conservatives, which I don't like, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't agree with them on. But it is taking all of our efforts on the conservative side just to kick out 4 other parties.
That makes sense.
So there's clauses to both. Like, it is better to have, like, yeah, you have a more narrowed down option by doing more choices, but just be wary of that. And the other thing that I really hate that everybody has is the party crossers who can't prove that they've actually changed in any way. We have a lot of that. Like, a lot of our problems up here was from people crossing the floors, and you look at them and you're like, there's no way in any shape or form that anybody that you are preaching to would agree with you, but we only accept them in because they bring their people in. And it's kind of like Californians going into Texas, and all of a sudden Texas is like, fuck you, go back. It's exactly like that with the parties. It's like that with the parties.
Yeah, I mean, it falls into the Rhino and Dino thing.
Yeah. Nobody's perfect. Like, there's a lot of things you can mix and blend that would be better. I take points from you guys too. Like, there's stuff that you guys do that I wish we were doing. And then there's a lot of stuff that we do that I think you guys could take a shot at.
From. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff we could. I don't. All right, honestly.
And Jen, I am perfect. Perfect is terrible.
Multiple parties would be well and good if I could honestly believe that everybody. Using the European model, where you have people who have. Oh well, you have, say. I don't know much about the Tories, so you have the Tories, you have whatever other groups. They have to work together to get shit done. There's enough of them, like, yeah, if we don't want this shit done. But it also gridlocks government.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at us now. Like, with 2 parties, that shit, the speakership, that shit went on for, what, 3 weeks? 13 rounds of voting? Not 3 weeks. It went on for a while. We had no speaker. And then we had no budget. And then, yeah, the more parties involved, the more shit grinds to a halt. And as much as multiple parties would benefit us, it would also hinder us a lot. Especially if we got a group that were anti-constitutionalists. That shit would, no. Mm-mm. As much as I hate the 2-party system, I'd rather have that than the potential for those fucks to rise up. Oh, man.
Every multiple party country ends up with a retarded Green Party, like ours. Elizabeth May never does a speech where she doesn't sound equally as loaded as Nancy. And I kind of wonder if they don't exchange bottles sometimes.
We have a retarded Green Party. They just don't. A a lot of Americans just don't know that they exist.
I know, but if you give an extra room for them to wiggle, they'll take it.
Shit. All right, guys, it's almost 2 hours, and I'm kind of fading. We didn't even. Jen, if
We
you want,
didn't even get to the
the main.
bitch.
I know.
I talk a lot. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Jen, if you don't mind, we can do this next Tuesday, and we can finish this with everybody next Tuesday.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll make sure I have a different headset because I'll be restarting my gym for Monday since I start vacation tomorrow night.
Woo!
Yep, road trip with my dad.
That sounds fun.
We're going down south to visit some of the family.
Ange, are you able to do this next Tuesday?
Possibly. I will try.
Sweet.
So it's a tentative maybe.
I will add the part 1, and hopefully we can get to to it. I would like to thank everybody for coming out. Everybody in chat. I would like to thank Rodden and Angela and Jen for joining me, because I saw this and it pissed me off, and I really wanted to at least talk about it.
I was gonna say, I know it's not the typical talking or not talking. God damn it, midnight show. But so you wanted this?
Time to stop.
Yeah.
Well, at least I'm getting there faster.
I interrupted you for this one.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Night.
Take her sleazy.
Take her sleazy.
Wow.